Good morning, good afternoon, Junior STEM. This is the introduction to modeling a fan in TinkerCAD. So we've been learning about the basics of 3D modeling in TinkerCAD. And this particular video is going to be focusing on how we make a fan, a generic fan for our cat that's coming up. I'm going to guide you through creating basic 3D models of a fan, how we combine them together, modeling the fan, adding some final details, and then the final adjustments and other things we need to make sure that we know before our exporting to 3D print. By the end of this product, of course, you can actually have a final 3D print. So you 3D model it, we'll 3D print it for you, and then we'll do that testing ourselves. But of course, it's important that we actually know how to make this fan. I'm going to show you how to make a very generic fan, and with hopes that your fan will be much better than mine. Let's start by looking at what our fan will look like. Now, of course, when we make a fan, the idea is that it's going to look something like this. Now, it's going to have a central area, a hub. It's going to have a hole in the middle of that hub for us to attach to it. We're going to have these blades coming out, and that'll look something like an X from above, or depending on how many fan blades you have, it might be looking more like this, whichever it is. But regardless, your final product will look something like this. Now, I don't actually want this because we want a consistent drawing. So I'm going to start with making a cylinder and make that the center of my fan. I'm going to increase the number of sides. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's quite blocky, as you can see. That's because it's got 20 sides. Now it's got 12 sides. I'm going to increase it all the way so it looks like a nice, perfect cylinder. Now, I don't need this to be so tall. It says 20 or 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters tall. I'm going to just bring that down to 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters to make this a bit easier for myself. Once I've done that, that is the center of my fan. I'm going to go ahead and create the blades for my fan. Now, it's very important that the blades themselves actually have some sort of angle to them. I'll show you what I mean and what doesn't work. I'm going to start by making the blades by creating this particular, this particular box, and I'm going to change the size so it looks like a fan blade. So I'm keeping the same height as before, but now I'm just going to extend it out. So let's say I'm going to make it to 50, might make it a little bit thinner. So right now it's about a 5, so maybe let's keep it at that. That's 2 millimeters might be too thin. I'm just thinking in advance. Then I'm going to align these two objects. I want this red one to be perfectly in the middle there. Now it looks like it's a middle, but it might not be perfect. So I'm going to select those and use the group and aligning tools from before, from the last lesson. I'm going to select L for align. I'm going to select this to make sure it's in the middle. Perfect. Now it is in the middle there. So what I can do is copy and paste this. You can either Control C, Control V like this, or you can press Control D and it'll duplicate on the spot for you. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this together, and you'll be able to see that this is not a very effective fan blade. I'm going to rotate this across, and again I'm going to put this in the middle by aligning something like this. And then, of course, duplicating that and making that all the way around. This is not a very good fan. If you think about the fan coming down, as in wind going down this way, it's not going to turn. Nothing's making it turn. And so in order for us to actually make this fan blade effective, we're going to rotate these. Now, you're going to have to move your screen around like we did in the last lesson. And you're going to have to be able to select this and rotate this one here. We want to be able to rotate this. For consistency, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 45 degrees. Whichever angle you do will be up to you. So I'm going to rotate that 45 degrees. And it's very important that we make sure every single fan blade is the same direction. If it's not the same direction, it's not going to work because we're going to be testing this with an actual turbine. There we go. So now it looks a little bit more like a fan, and you can see that the blades themselves are angled at the same way. And you can see that if the wind comes down, it's going to force the fan to rotate and maybe turn more so this way. Now that we've got that, the last thing we need is to actually be able to add or attach our fan to the actual turbine that we're testing it on. So to do that, this is a very clear set of instructions. I'll get you to follow step by step. First step is to grab this round roof and place that onto the board. Then second step is to rotate this 90 degrees so it's perfectly facing up. Third step is to select it and change these values. For the one that's the widest here, that one needs to be 2.35. And for the one that's the tallest one here, that 10 becomes a 1.8. Those numbers are very important. So that is 2.35. There we go. 2.35 and 1.8. Your next step is you're going to be changing that into a hole. And finally, you're going to be aligning it with the centerpiece there so it is perfectly in the middle. I'm going to do that one more time. Let's go backwards. First step, round roof. Second step, 90 degrees, so it's standing up. Third step, you're going to select this and go 2.35 and 1.8. Fourth step, make it a hole. Fifth step, align it with this. Now that we've done that, we select all of it, or we can Control A to select all. And then you press the group button to put it all together. And you'll notice that it all comes into one color now. There should be a hole, a semicircle shaped hole going all the way down to the bottom, and you should have your fan blades there. So that is ready. This is our fan blade, our test fan blade, and this is ready for 3D printing. But first thing I'll do is I'll just check that things are attached. Sometimes we get students who group, or they'll select things like this, and they'll accidentally forget to select one of them and they'll group that. If we print this, that's not going to work because it's going to be missing a fan blade. So make sure everything is the same color. That's generally how you will know if we've missed anything, but we should make sure we select all of it and we group all of that together. Sometimes we also have students forget to do this hole. Make sure you do that, otherwise you can't attach it on. And also just make sure, especially if your fan blades are a little bit sticking out like this, make sure they're actually attached, otherwise we can't print them, as in the blades are going to fall off if that's the case. So make sure they're very clearly inside the part there. Once you've done that, you've grouped everything together, it looks pretty good, you're going to grab it, you're going to move it around, you're pretty happy with that. You're going to go ahead and export the model. In order for us to export the model, you're going to go ahead and press the export button at the top right. It says download and 3D print underneath it. And there are a couple of options. Include everything in design, I'm happy with that. You're going to select the button that says STL. That is the file format that we need to 3D print something. So you click the STL button and it will download for you. That file there, you then go to our internal hub. So you'd go to our DHS homepage. You scroll down and you press the 3D printing request button. It should also be on your compass somewhere. There we go. You go to homepage internal, scroll down, and it should be 3D print requests. Once it does that, it will give you the option to submit some things. You log in here using your compass details, and you'll create a ticket. Once you create a ticket, it is a request. That's correct. It is a 3D printing request. You put your student ID here and your class here, and you submit the file here. Lovely. If any other questions, please make sure you ask your teacher.